Here's a guest, Miguel Amodio.
Yep. Thank you.
And he's a cinematographer and editor. So I'm here to ask him some questions for the interview. The first question is, what inspires you to become a cinematographer and editor?
What inspired me to become a cinematographer and an editor? I was in college. I was in film school, and I was in community college, and I didn't have a lot of money to go to a big film university or anything like that. So I was taking a television and film production class and just fell in love with it. And I had a couple of Japanese friends that were very technically inclined, and they taught me about cameras. I had been taking still photos since I was about 10, so it just sort of seemed like a good fit. There's something about the moving image that's inspiring. You want to try and tell a story, and you want to capture a moment, and a still image can do that, but there was just something about a moving image that just felt more fulfilling. And then so the cinematography component sort of came naturally, but then when you don't have any money or resources, who's gonna take that footage and do something with it? So I inherently learned how to edit because I needed to edit my own material when I was starting out, and then I quickly fell in love with that as well, because editing is very much like writing. It's the development. It is the last part of the story that you want to tell. So if the script is one component of the story and the visuals is the second component, then editing is that third and final piece. It's how you can really shape it and change things in ways that you couldn't imagine. And so that's ultimately how I became a cinematographer and editor, just out of necessity.
Oh, that sounds a good one. The second one, what are some challenges and struggles have you faced or overcome in your line of work?
Challenges and struggles. Well, I think every production is going to present a challenge, and you're going to struggle with every production. I'm sure you guys all know, anytime you work on anything, it's stressful. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of preparation. And as much as you prepare, still something inevitably goes wrong, right? So I can't think of one particular circumstance. I think every production has presented its own share of problems in some way or another.
Okay. The third one, how did you learn all of cinematography, the editorial department, and editing?
So, like I was saying before, I learned cinematography and editing just by doing it daily. I didn't wait, just went, and I before I had any money to buy my own camera, I rented out the school's camera. I found friends that had equipment, and I studied, I learned. If I couldn't do it myself, I'd find people that were out making movies, and I'd go and shadow them and offer to help them for free, just so I could learn the different roles. I've been everything from sound department, our good friend over here who's got all that covered. But I've done everything, and I think it's just you teach yourself by doing it daily, and that's the most important thing for me. So that's how I learned.
Okay, the fourth one. What is the difference between an editor and the editorial department?
That's a great question. Well, the editor is the actual editor, the person who's putting all the pictures together, all the video clips together, and that person, he or she, may work in the editorial department. The department might be 3 or 4 editors. So I know, for instance, you guys have a teacher here who actually was editing with me yesterday, Ajayla Bondale. He'll come in and edit for me and my company, and he's part of the editorial department, but he is himself an editor as well. So the editor is the person doing the work, and editorial department is, at least with us, every person that is within the sort of editing realm. If that makes sense.
Okay. What really touched you to do editing, and do you have any advice for editors out there?
Yeah, I started in photography and moved into cinematography, but editing, I think, very quickly became something that was much more inspiring to me. It is one of those things that allows you to shape the story and tell the story. And if the writer had an original vision of it being one way, the editor gets to come in, work with the writer, director, producers, and tell that story. And so it's inspiring in a way that you can affect people through simple change of, 2 frames taken out can make a world of difference in terms of how you enjoy the next Avengers movie. In a critical moment, 2 frames can make all the difference. So it's the ability to affect viewers on a deeper level, whether it's comedic or dramatic. Doesn't matter the genre. It's just inspiring. It's inspiring to try and affect change. So yeah, that's sort of that for me.
Is there a difference between shooting a short or a TV series?
There's definitely differences, and those differences are usually budget and how many people you have on set. Obviously, the fundamentals are the same. You need your base level crew. You need your writer. You need your director. You need your ADs. You need your shooters. You need your editors. You need your assistants. So whether you're doing a short or a TV show, I think the difference is really just in the number of people that are on set and how big your budgets are.
What was the hardest job out of all of them?
Hardest job out of all of them? Well, your guys' teacher at Jayla hired me one time. It was probably the hardest film I ever worked on, just because working for a Jayla is just, it's really difficult. Because he's just so lovable all the time, and he's always dancing, so it made it hard to get things done, because we just wanted to party the whole time, but we got it done. But no, seriously, again, like I said earlier, every film presents its own set of challenges, so I can't think of one film that's been harder than any others. So,
if you can collaborate with any filmmaker, who will it be?
I've been wanting to work with Danny Boyle since I was 16 years old. Danny Boyle is the director of Trainspotting and Sunshine, and he's done 28 Days Later and many films. Slumdog Millionaire. He's always just been sort of to me, a director that has the kind of vision that I relate with and connect with. And he's done every genre, from comedy to musicals to heavy dramas. And he will do big studio pictures for millions and millions of dollars, and then he'll go and he'll do a $20,000 independent film, because that's just who he is. So yeah, I think I would want to work with him. Probably even now, he's still sort of my top choice of person I would love to work with one day.
That sounds like good future.
I hope so.
What is the best advice when you have writer's block or the equivalent of?
Well, the best advice for me, coming from the writing, talking about writing, is when I have writer's block, I just get other people to write for me, because I don't write. I learned very early on, as I was starting this whole journey. As I was telling you, I tried everything. I tried every department once. I realized very quickly writing was not my strength. It was not the thing I enjoyed. I enjoy reading a great script. I enjoy what it represents, but actually being the visionary of that story is not something that interests me. So I made it a point to go out and find really talented writers, and that's how we started our company, Rapid Reels. Was we built the company around this idea that the writer was king or queen, and yeah. So my advice to anyone with writer's block is go out and find other writers and tell them what you're up against. Explain the situation you're up against, and you'll work through it. But stay persistent and don't quit. Walk away, but don't quit. Sometimes you have to walk away, but then you have to remember to come back and plow through it, because getting a first draft done is more important than it not being perfect. Because if you can't get the first draft done, you'll never get it done. And that'll follow you throughout life. That's just a pattern you learn of not getting things done. So if you hit writer's block, go find other writers, and hopefully they can inspire you.
That sounds good. The last question. Any wisdom for aspiring filmmakers?
Wisdom for aspiring filmmakers. I would definitely say, as I just said, just do it. Just get out there and do it. Don't wait. Don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it being good or bad. Just get out there and do it, because when you start, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be the worst thing ever. And the reason is because you doing something now is not going to be you in 5 years. What you're going to learn if you stick with it, it's like working out, right? You're not going to lose weight overnight, but if you work out regularly, something I definitely need to do on much more. You get to grow and learn. And one piece of advice I would also give to aspiring filmmakers: when you do that first project or those first few projects, and you look back and you're embarrassed about those old projects, don't delete them. Don't get rid of those old projects. I'm looking at you, Angel. Because you will want to go back in 5 or 10 years and look at the growth that you've made. I still have my projects from my college days, and they are horrible. They're so bad from where I started to where I am now. But I'm only where I am now because I made those mistakes. I wasn't afraid to make those mistakes, and I wasn't afraid to take criticism. And that would be the last piece of advice, is always, no matter what department you're in, be open to criticism, especially if it's constructive. Hopefully it's constructive. It should always be constructive. But sometimes people will just say, I don't like that, but they can't tell you why. That's okay. They're entitled to their opinion. Just be open to it and be flexible, because you never know who's going to be the next Danny Boyle. And so you never want to burn bridges, and you always want to do your best with the ability that you have in the current moment. And that's it.